All right. Ticket sales are not going very well for Anthony Joshua versus Ruiz. Ticket prices get slashed. We're going to talk about that and some other things related to this fight in this video. All right, so I thought that I would do this video because I wanted to let this be known before Eddie Hearn tells some more stories about Anthony Joshua and John Ruiz selling out Madison Square Garden. If you guys recall, back a few months ago when this fight was first announced, Anthony Joshua versus Jarrell Big Baby Miller was supposed to have broken Madison Square Garden pre-sale record tickets sales records. Pre-sale ticket records for Madison Square Garden, which meant that they had 13, at least what they tried to communicate was that there was thousands of fans that were so interested in this fight that they somehow pre-bought them and broke a record, and this was going to be a sign towards what a great performance and just how big Anthony Joshua is and how big the demand for Anthony Joshua is in the United States. And so we're a couple days out from the fight. I've been getting emails, getting comments in my comment section from Anthony Joshua fans telling me how Anthony Joshua has sold out, is selling out Madison Square Garden. And I keep replying, the tickets are available. If it's sold out, why am I seeing all these tickets still available? Why can I still buy tickets if it's sold out? So I looked this morning because I asked for a notification if ticket prices were slashed, because they gave me that option when I went to one of these secondary ticket markets. So I looked today and I see that there are 20%, 10 to 20% discounts on tickets for every section in Madison Square Garden. And I will show you the proof. It should be right about here when the video comes up. Now, what does this mean? It means that Anthony Joshua is not going to sell out Madison Square Garden. And those pre-sale tickets were not indicative of a massive demand for this guy in New York City amongst American fans. Now, my understanding is from sources that I have that there's about 3,000 to 4,000 UK people that came over to see Anthony Joshua fight, take a vacation to New York City. The major piece of that vacation that they're going to take is to watch Anthony Joshua fight in Madison Square Garden, which I really do think is probably a pretty attractive idea to people in the UK that want to see Anthony Joshua fight, because it's much easier to see the actual fight in Madison Square Garden sitting in any ticket in that house than it is if you're going to be watching Anthony Joshua fight at Wembley Stadium, where you might be in the distant seats 200 yards away from the fight and 60, 70 feet in the air. So I'm certain that there's an amount of value that comes for these UK fans to come over and see Anthony Joshua fight. And I'm also positive, because I've got a boxing channel and I talk about boxing a lot with UK AJ fans, that there's a lot of fans of Anthony Joshua that really do support him. So while I'm talking about the ticket sales in America, get this right. I am not saying, or I'm not trying to diminish Anthony Joshua and the fanfare that surrounds Anthony Joshua in the UK. It is quite obvious that he has a very solid fan base, and there are thousands and thousands and thousands of people that support Anthony Joshua. I used to be one of those fans. If you see my name is Fanon International Boxing, one of the major reasons that I have international in the name is because I enjoy UK boxing very, very much. And in the middle of Saturday afternoons, where there are fight cards going on in the UK and other Americans are watching college basketball or college football, I'm looking for a stream so that I can see Box Nation and I can watch guys like Scott Quigg fight, guys like Lee Selby fight, right? And one of those times when I was doing that was, I believe, one of the first times that I actually saw Anthony Joshua fight on an undercard that was being televised for Scott Quigg and where Quigg and was on the fight and Lee Selby were basically the headliners of that bill. I do believe that's the first time that I saw Anthony Joshua. So I like UK boxing, and I did like Anthony Joshua very much. But then a problem hit. And it's Eddie Hearn, and it's this ridiculous idea that, and the feeling that I get from them, that you think that you have to tear down an American champion, the longest reigning American champion, by telling lie after lie after lie after lie about him, about his record. And if it's not a flat out lie, it's an interpretation of the facts that are defaming and negative towards him. So after watching this happen and the tearing down of Deontay Wilder in an effort to prop up Anthony Joshua, I got extremely turned off by it. And this is why I make videos like this. You're not, as long as you have boxing fans that have a voice about circumstances, you're really an American boxing fan, I'm not gonna sit here and let people pop off these lies. Anthony Joshua is not hot in demand in the United States yet. There is no major push behind people in the United States, no real desire for Anthony Joshua to come and fight in the United States. Boxing is a marginal sport in the United States, and it is very, very difficult for a real fighter from the United States to really set themselves apart in the sports world. That's a fact for all of our fighters. Whether it's Errol Spence or Terrence Crawford or Deontay Wilder, it took years and years and years for Floyd Mayweather Jr. to break out of Top Rank and get to be seen on the same level as an Oscar De La Hoya. It is few and far between in the sports environment that we have in the United States that an American fighter can stand out above the rest of the athlete, to get his head out of boxing and above the level of boxing, hardcore boxing fans, and be seen by the casual fan in America. And when we have an excellent talent like Deontay Wilder, but yet people from overseas and promoters that are interested to come over here and get our money to put it in their pocket, tear that guy down with stories like they're telling and marketing ploys like this Anthony Joshua stuff going on, I'm gonna say something about it. And I think it's right for boxing fans to say something about it, because we don't need that. We don't need it. Again, it's already too hard for legitimate boxing fans to get to see the fighters that they want to see featured. We had great champions from Cuba like Guillermo Rigondeaux, who fought year after year after year in obscurity because the marketing power, the boxing powers that be, the marketing people behind that didn't think that he was a desirable fighter to put out to the masses. So year after year after year, this guy is unable to get the fights that he wants to see, and we as boxing fans don't get to see him featured. Same thing was happening to Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder came from the ground up. People talk about the 40 bums that he fought and how, Anthony Joshua did all this stuff in 22 careers and 22 fights or whatever it was, 16 fights when he got a world championship. But like I said earlier in this video, I remember seeing him on an undercard for Scott Quigg, the very first fight that he fought, because he had a promoter who decided that he was somebody that they wanted to feature to boxing fans. He was fighting in Wembley Stadium in his first fight. Deontay Wilder didn't have that type of treatment from Golden Boy Promotions, and he was fighting in all kind of different places, in Mexico, in Alabama, in Tunica, Mississippi, fighting 4 and 5, 6 times a year for multiple years. And for him to come all the way, grind his way all the way up to the heavyweight champion, defend that heavyweight championship 9 times, but yet still have people disrespecting this guy and believing any story that's told about him. It's just unacceptable. So yeah, I'm gonna make a video and point out that you're gonna hear a story come out of Eddie Hearn's mouth probably on Monday of next week about the massive amount of tickets that they sold, but he'll never tell you that he had to do something that Deontay Wilder, I've not seen him have to do, which is actually slash the prices of tickets by 20% because there's so many of them available. And since they're available in all of these sections, and many of these were pre-sold, many of the tickets that were bought during this pre-sale ticket record are still unsold, and the people that bought them more than likely are gonna be taking a bath on the money that they spent. And that is the truth. But hey, man, you guys believe what you want to believe. I'm okay with Deontay Wilder fighting whoever Deontay Wilder wants to fight, because I don't think that he needs to have to follow behind guys like Eddie Hearn and this marketing ploy garbage that he's putting out there. So anyway, that's my thought about it. This is clearly a bit of a rant video about it, but it's just old in the sport of boxing. There are too many good fighters that don't get the credit they deserve. There are many fighters that are some special outlier fighters who are given, for whatever reason they're outliers, are given the chance from the beginning of their career to shine, like Sugar Ray Leonard, like Oscar De La Hoya, like Anthony Joshua, like Vasil Lomachenko. But then there are other fighters who are just as good and who in the long term have careers that have outshined many of them, that have to come from the ground up, who aren't given anything, like Marvelous Marvin Hagler, like Bernard Hopkins, like Deontay Wilder. Not everybody is born with a promoter shoving a silver spoon in their mouth, putting them in Wembley Stadium in their first fight, or have a promoter putting a silver spoon in their mouth and giving them a championship fight in their first fight or their second fight out of the amateurs. That some people that have been given those opportunities are great fighters, no doubt about it. But so are many of the fighters that had to fight their way from the ground up, like a Chris Bird, who not many people know isn't even a heavyweight, he's a light heavyweight, but yet he couldn't even get a manager in his natural weight class and had to spend his whole career fighting guys that outweighed him by 30, 40 pounds in the heavyweight division. And if you look at Chris Bird to this day, he's walking around today as a retired fighter at about 185 pounds. But the only reason that he had to fight guys like Vladimir Klitschko and Vitaly Klitschko is because he didn't have a silver spoon put in his mouth, and he wasn't allowed to get some of those to even fight in the light heavyweight division, where he might have been one of the greatest light heavyweights to ever do it. But that's boxing politics, and unless you know and recognize boxing politics, you might not appreciate that. And Deontay Wilder is one of those type of fighters that if he would have lost in his first 15, 16 fights, just got clipped by a punch, something like that happened, he might never have got the shot that he got now. So I don't care, and I'm gonna be very flat with it. He can fight whoever he wants to fight. And Anthony Joshua will eventually have to come around to fight him. And when that fight happens, let it happen in a manner that is respectful to Deontay Wilder, respectful to what he's accomplished in his career. And that's my opinion on that. And with that, I'm out.